Please unmute and say. Please unmute and say. Chidanandaji, please unmute and say. Start.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah.
Thank you.
One moment. Okay. Namaste. Good evening, everyone. Glad to meet all of you. In these sessions, it will not be wrong to say that we are together exploring the nature of intelligence. For it is recognized more and more that no matter how much we have advanced in the aspects of civilization, we continue to live unintelligently. As you know, intelligent living is not about having access to a lot of information. We do not regard anyone intelligent if she or he is able to show off a lot of knowledge about some subject, some technical field, or even history, geography, and so on. A scholarly person doesn't have to be intelligent. We must be very clear that in these discussions, we use the word intelligence in a very different way than how we do at other places. Time and again, we encounter this problem of the language. We do use the word intelligent at other places, in other contexts, for somebody who can solve a problem when others could not figure out. Or in some political scenario, and so on. But without going long on that, in these discussions, we want to regard that as intelligence, where one has completely said goodbye to mechanicalness. I hope you appreciate this remark, that we are putting intelligence in contrast with being mechanical. Somebody may impress 1,000 people with some solution one comes out with, which others could not do. But inwardly, if that person mechanically went through certain steps and arrived at that solution, that is no intelligence. Therefore, the topic that we are taking up this evening, conformity, has to be seen in this light. Somebody is highly knowledgeable and his work or her work has impressed millions. He has a great name in the society, let us say. But inwardly, that person conforms to some patterns of his own understanding of morality, his own understanding of right living, and so on. There arises the question, can right living or true morality emerge from conforming to a pattern? Even if that pattern is borrowed from some big authority, some source which is called by the masses holy, sacred, and whatnot. A pattern is a pattern. A rigid structure is a rigid structure. And intelligence will never be comfortable with aligning with some rigid structure. The very nature of intelligence is to examine, is to look with fresh eyes. The nature of intelligence is to stay unbound by the past, by memories. In contrast, conformity, our topic this evening, is where we accept some pattern or something somebody said as unquestionably true. As we do in many instances, here also we have to examine a couple of words very carefully. For example, when we say intelligence involves not conforming to a pattern, nobody should make the mistake of imagining that an intelligent person goes around and left and right breaks the norms of the society in every context. That would be madness. Imagine somebody is driving in some city of India where, as we know, in India we drive on the left side of the road. And this person has just attended one of our dialogues and imagine has heard that intelligent people do not conform. They are rebellious by nature. They figure out their own ways. And this fellow goes by the right side of the road. Number one, he jeopardizes his own health and his own life. He may meet with a bad accident. Whether he meets with a bad accident or not, that kind of breaking laws, when the law is that you got to drive on the left side of the road, in the name of intelligence, which you misunderstood, you go on the right side and you say, I, from childhood have been a explorer, a rebellious person. Everybody goes that way, but I go this way. I always have traveled, what is that other expression? The road less traveled. I've always taken a different, I am innovative, blah, blah. All that would be nonsense in that case. We are not talking about those functional areas where all of us have together agreed upon a certain order. Vehicles drive on the left side. in India and in dozens of countries. In the United States, in Canada, I guess, North America, they drive on the right side of the road. Even vehicles there have the steering wheel on left side. In our country, the steering wheel or where the driver sits is on the right side in the front. I remember in childhood, I used to notice some jeeps were in our own country. I had not gone abroad at that time. So I'm talking of growing up in my own country. It was written in red letters behind, left-hand drive. There used to be, and probably even now, there are a few cars or jeeps in our country, very few, where the driver's seat is on the left. So left-hand drive, it would be written just to warn others not to expect the driver to be at the front right. But leave that aside. In millions of functional areas, we need to conform for that makes for smooth functioning in various matters. Therefore, what is this not conforming? As we always say, it is in the psychological domain. And I had introduced the words before. It's in the domain of so-called morality, so-called sensitivity, so-called love, so-called friendship, so-called caring, so-called right living. But why? You may say, why have two sets of rules? If in functional area, for us to live as a harmonious society, we conform to some rules. Conform, C-O-N-F-O-R-M. We are talking of conformity, C-O-N-F-O-R-M-I-T-Y. If in functional areas we conform to, as you said, millions of norms, why not we conform in the psychological area also? Let's examine this very basic matter. Friends, we have to put aside all conformity in the psychological domain for the simple reason that the psychological domain is vastly more complex. In the psychological domain, nobody knows the inside of a human being. Today, actually, somebody sent a saying of Krishnaji, not in connection with this topic or this evening's event here, but a friend sent over to me a Krishnaji statement, which was interesting. Somewhere he had on talks. We cannot know the unknown, for we are the unknown. Or maybe the exact words were, you cannot know the unknown because you are the unknown. Krishnaji's teachings always had an unintended poetic quality. So call it unknown, or I prefer to say vastly complex. Somebody smiles at you, you cannot be sure that she is smiling at you with admiration or with love or with appreciation or care or with goodwill. You can't know. She may be smiling at you derisively. She might be smiling at you with contempt. She might be smiling at you with a thought inside her, what a fool he is. So that's what we mean by complexity. So leave aside other people, friends. Let us examine ourselves. One morning when I feel lonely, leave alone others, I would repeat. I cannot know myself so easily why I am lonely. What is working in me? What is operating in me? What memories are at play? As they say, God knows what is happening to me, but the fact is I'm feeling lonely. Therefore, we cannot pick up a self-help book, latest arrival in the biggest bookstore in our city, let us say, 10 ways to handle loneliness. So the man who wrote that book might have made a lot of money. 10 ways to overcome loneliness. we, we cannot pick up such a book and say, let me see which way works for me. As I said about a lady's smile in the example I quoted, here my own loneliness could have certain structure to it, certain ingredients to it, or certain causes behind it, which are not at all easy to figure out. And today, having unintentionally given this example of loneliness, today, with the advancements in medical science, neurology, psychology, and many other branches of science, it is increasingly acknowledged that loneliness or depression or some suicidal tendency and so on are also related to very many physiological functions in our body. Some secretions, some glands malfunctioning or over-functioning, you know. Therefore, it is regarded not much different from a physical problem. If I have a physical problem, I'm not able to lift my right leg one morning when I get up. In no time, I myself realize, oh, what a helpless scenario this is. My family members also first will ask me, what happened? Why are you not walking towards us? I cannot walk. I cannot lift this right leg. Very quickly they will sympathize with me. Really? Oh, what happened? A physical symptom is easily sympathized with, but a mental symptom, one morning I don't smile at my wife. She says, how come you are not smiled from morning? It is 11 a.m. now. You have been keeping a grim face. I look at her and say, I don't know. And she may not accept that answer so easily. What you do not know? Even a child can smile. Come on, smile now. And I try. But there are times when you and I cannot smile. And there are times when you and I cannot help but smile. Oops, just a smile comes out. Having said that, I must confess, when I was in 9th grade, the student sitting next to me and I felt tickled by something and we could not stop laughing. It was some silly thing, but we went on laughing. Both of us had that problem. Once laughter started, we could not stop. And the biology teacher, she was surprised because both my friend and I were by and large very decent boys. We never misbehaved, at least openly. But that day when she saw these two boys who always were very well behaved are laughing and laughing and are not stopping, a bit loudly also, because we could not control. And she too, who was a very kind teacher, after patience, she said to both of us, "You two get out of this class." We both went out. I don't think that ever happened in my life before or after that. So this is a psychological issue, sirs and madams. Psychology is very complex, very vast. Therefore, to judge ourselves or to judge somebody on certain external expressions of their behavior is very insensitive on our part. We got to go slow. How many households suffer when, for example, a father continuously judges his son to be unproductive, inefficient, this or that. The father who perhaps went from rags to riches, perhaps from nothing to becoming a millionaire. The father who is proud about being a self-made man goes on hurting the morale of his son. Do you know how hard I worked when I was at your age? Do you know how I did things? You have all these advantages. From childhood, I have provided you so many facilities. You are born into a rich house, unlike me. I was born into a poor house. You, and so on. And even as the mother of the boy pleads with the father, please don't bang him so much. He is unable to control himself. I bring this because, in spite of his success in his business or some other field, the father is unable to understand what the son has been going through. The son's psyche is a puzzle to the father. And when you and I do not understand the psyche of another person, son or wife or husband or colleague, teacher, student, boss, subordinate, doesn't matter, in any relationship, when the other person's behavior puzzles us, then a lot of troubles begin. That is the connection we have to today's topic. Can we see the perils of conformity? In this father-son example, if the father goes hastily by some example, oh, when some famous person, whoever, found his son not behaving, he just asked the son, get out of this house. Or in some other example, the father said to the son, now, I don't interfere anymore in your life. Live the way you want and get lost. Or insensitive behavior. And if this father just takes the example of another father, maybe it was Gandhi, maybe it was Subhash Chandra Bose, maybe it was Abraham Lincoln, maybe it was Nelson Mandela, doesn't matter. You take somebody's example and you regard that as your role model, and then you openly admitting or without knowing what is deciding your decisions, you conform to the pattern set by Gandhi or Mandela, Lincoln or Jefferson, Newton, famous figures, or in our own family. That uncle did this aunt did that. I'm also going. This is called conformity, friends. And it has its ramifications in every field. In religion, for example, somebody doesn't wear particular dress and all of us are wearing, we tend to get angry. How dare he violate the norm that we have set here? Somebody doesn't put some tilaka on the forehead, or in Islam they have some hijab or something. Somebody, they have to cover their heads. Now the whole world is watching whether Afghanistan, the government in Kabul would be broad-minded towards women, children, old people, and so on, or would this government try to conform to what they regard as right behavior, right living? No wonder Krishnaji made scathing statements against all religions. I myself have a fairly strong Hindu background, fairly, not very much, because I am more a Vedantin than a Orthodox Hindu. I'm aware of many traditions, but I am more a philosopher, more into self-inquiry, self-knowledge, and a little into some elements of Hindu devotional practices. I do have a little bit in me. But today's topic throws precious light on the behavior of all of us. And what is of very great importance is you and I must again and again introspect, again and again watch our own behavior. I would say, especially our moments of judging people and judging ourselves. For example, in the religious context, suppose I have been doing some puja, some japa. If I think, last 7 days I have been doing puja early morning, I ring the bell sharp at 7 a.m. What a religious man I am, if I imagine. I better examine that judgment. Equally, on another time, oh my God, I have been so lazy. It is already lunchtime. I have not done my morning Shiva Puja. Oh, I think with all my philosophy, Vedanta, J. Krishnamurti, Ramana, and everything, the ground reality is I am such a lazy fellow. Oh, in this way, please see, I am making fun of myself in the process. This judging oneself as a holy person, religious person, and judging oneself as lazy and laid back and inefficient, ineffective, that all of them are because of you have a picture of how you should be and you are unable to conform, fit into that. Once in a while, when you fit into that picture, you judge yourself as, wow, how nice I am. Some other time when you don't fit into that picture, to that frame, you look down at yourself and you do the same with others. Alas, there is great injustice to truth. The truth of the matter would be something very different. You might not be so bad when you thought you were bad. You might not be so good or pious or holier than thou when you thought you are a very wonderful. Today you had been so good, hardworking. So without elaborating, let me conclude my words saying, when intelligence gets limited or comes under a smoke screen, intelligence gets uh, stunted because of various influences, conditionings, various presumptions. That is when we conform to certain patterns, believing that that alone is the way and so on. Therefore, conformity in the psychological domain is a universal psychological phenomenon, and we got to be very careful about it. In that context or in that sense, we are warned not to conform, to look at things with fresh eyes. Thank you. Namaste.
Harshad sir. Harshad Parik sir.
Yeah. Okay. Are you
Please.
able to hear?
Yes, sir. We are able to hear.
Okay. Thank you, Chidanandaji. You spoke very well, very clear, very slow. And I like to say something about this topic of conformity. Conformity is a social influence involving a change in belief or behavior in order to fit in within a group. So we see that conformity even in Krishnamurti schools, where students, what they call peer pressure. So, and this happens in colleges when you have friends and they go to a restaurant, and if they smoke and drink, and you don't like to smoke and drink, but because your friends are doing it, you also are compelled to do that. Otherwise, you will lose their company. So this happens in every place. It's a universal uh, problem of conforming, and we conform only when we are not clear and we don't have the inner strength to stand alone on our own understanding, which we can call it intelligence. So there was one student in Rishi Valley school. His name was Vivekanand. Maybe his father was interested in Vivekanand's philosophy. And this boy, when he joined the school, Rishi Valley School, he used to go for a walk alone. And of course, on campus, whereas all other students, they always walk in a group. And when the classmates of Vivekanand saw that he was always walking alone, they begin to make some comments that there is something wrong with this boy. He is not mixing with others. And so this boy got influenced by his classmates and he joined the group, and then he became like all other students. So conformity happens when we don't have the inner strength and clarity to see what is right and what is wrong. When Gandhiji left India first time in 1888, at the age of 18 years old, he was going to London for study. He was, and his family was excommunicated. But Gandhiji did not conform, and he was not afraid. He went to England. And we have so many other examples like Mirabai, and the family said she has gone mad. And Mirabai said, Lok Laj Kul ki Maryada ya मैं ek न rakhungi. Because Mirabai had the inner strength, she did not care about what the world thought about her, even family. They created many problems for her. Even she was given a poison, but she knew what she wanted. and she had the inner strength. And same way with Ramakrishna, they also said, people said he was mad, but he knew it, that it doesn't matter what people says. And so on. Kabir, the mystic poet Kabir, he used to criticize both Hindus and Muslims. And he said, Hindu kahe mohe Ram pyara, Musalman रहमाना, आपस में दोनों लड़ी मरत है, मरम किसी ने न जाना. So when we don't know, we don't have the intelligence to see what is right and what is wrong, then conforming to the society, to the group, it becomes the easiest thing. I myself lived in America and Canada for 10 years, and but I did not touch wine and smoking, though my friends, they were doing all that and womanizing and all that thing they were doing. But I knew myself, so I did not uh, feel lonely if people did not people did not mix with me, but I mixed with people who were like me or just walking in nature. So not to conform, it requires clarity. And there is one article on conformity in Commentaries on Living, in which one lady, she came from other country, came to India, and she was visiting many ashrams. And initially, she found it very good to live in this ashram. She did not mind conforming to their rituals or to their routine. But after some time, she felt that she was restricted. There was no intelligence in following the rules and regulations. So she went from one ashram to other ashram, and finally she came to Krishnaji, and Krishnaji talks about conformity. And even I'd say in Krishnamurti schools, when we come together as a group, we have to conform. And there are certain rules which everybody has to follow, like no smoking, no eating of meat, and one has to follow in Krishnamurti schools. And also that if you are in a Krishnamurti school, you can speak very good about Krishnamurti, but if you criticize, then there will be a problem. Or if you praise somebody whom Krishnamurti did not like Osho, like there was one teacher who was trying to propagate Osho's teachings in one of the Krishnamurti schools, and he was told that he cannot do that. So there are certain rules when we come together, we have to follow, we have to conform. Let me see if there is anything. Why we conform? It is because it is the easiest thing to do, and there is no danger from the group. Like if you are in a country, like a Muslim country, and if you are a Hindu and there is a danger to your life, then you may conform. Um, but people who don't conform to society, when they have the clarity, they have an intelligence, they may suffer also because of non-conforming. But if they continue with the inner strength, intelligence, then the same people who were criticizing this non-conformist people, the same people, they begin to praise those non-conformists. So the real question is whether we have the courage and more than courage, clarity and intelligence to see what is right and what is not right. And if we stick to the right thing, then there is no problem. Sometimes you may suffer, but one must be true to oneself. Otherwise, it is just very artificial way of behaving, thinking one thing inside and conforming to people outside. That means there is a conflict within oneself, and it may begin to affect one's health, even physical health. This psychological conflict can affect our body too. Okay, so to not to conform out of freedom, intelligence, wisdom, that is what is needed. And without that, it is easy to conform, it is very safe. But in that, there is no happiness, no freedom. Okay, so I have finished. Thank you.
Anybody can comment or ask question by raising hand.
Today we have Dr. Bhatnagar. Would Dr. Bhatnagar want to say something? Atul Bhatnagar from Banaras Hindu University. If you wish to share something, I'm not putting any pressure on
Yes.
you.
Yes. No, there's no conformity.
Yeah, nice to see you. Please do come more to this.
Yes. Somewhere or other, conformity is a form of authority. Rather, it is an authority. It can sometimes conformity may be because of the external factors or one's own needs, maybe physical needs like security or food, shelter, clothing. And as you said, that one being in a country where one has to conform according to tradition, so as to not invite harm or invite exclusion. So that is there. But sometimes conformity is also because of my own habits, my own laziness. So I conform, I go into a particular type of diet or particular type of thinking or particular type of that conformity is there because it suits me. So many people, for example, this Sunday, I think it will be I will not divulge the topic, but it is a very nice topic that we all come to dialogues, we all come to group discussions, we read so many things. But why we don't look beyond words is because we are conforming to certain thing because it suits us. It in a way it is entertaining us. It is keeping us away from boredom, from, as you said, from loneliness. So somewhere or other, this conformity is actually, in deeper sense, an authority. That authority may be my own laziness. That authority may be my own uh, resistance to accept what is, to have an escape from it, easy escape, and because one gets very successful by saying something or other, but successful is not the parameter that one has to uh, live life by. There's no parameter as such. And in success, who defines the success? That again is an authority. Success becomes an authority. And we conform because we want success. We accept that authority. Because success is always defined by somebody else. Excellence is something which has no definition as such. You live and you see, and you live and you see. And there's a continuous learning going on without accumulation. So I personally feel that we have to look into this question of authority, and why do we accept authority, or why do we seek authority? I am through.
Thank you. That was really complementing what Harshad and I had said. More dimensions.
Pradeep Verma, please come forward.
Yes, sir. Thank you. To me, the present world scenario demands deep probings about certain questions. Why a man must be conforming? Who conforms? Mostly it will be associated with some positivity, some promising positivity. Who questions conformity? Some of these questions have been mentioned by Parikji and Dr. Bhatnagar also. To me, the real problem is, as I see, rulers have always encouraged conformity. You can see it very vividly, very clearly all around you, and historically true. Rulers have always encouraged conformity. We see the role of power in forcing conformity. Please, if you say something, if you tell, is it a real problem or is it my imagination? Thank you very much.
Dinesh Waghmare. Dinesh Waghmare.
Are you able to listen to me, sir?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sir, according to me, what is the root of conformity? Root of conformity to me is basically conformity is required so that your subconscious mind can work easily or smoothly. If you go into deep, your subconscious mind requires a pattern which can allow you to work smoothly. So whenever, as somebody has pointed out, laziness and all this, actually one wants normally a spoon feeding if he doesn't want to work. So he follows that pattern and he just adopts that pattern and works. But following a pattern is a must, whether it is a physical life. To me, it is a must, because if you have to live a physical, in physical world, if you have to move smoothly, or you have to remain in a group, or you have to be with the friends and all that, you have to follow certain norms or certain this thing. So what is the root basically? I want that my life should be very harmonious, smooth. So my subconscious mind, if it gets already a certain kind of norms or order, then it works very smoothly. But what Krishnamurti pointed out is, if that pattern is not circumspect or not, it is it may be workable in the past, or it may be truth at some part of time, but today it is not the truth. Then you have to see, you should see the false in today's pattern, and then that conformity, and then you should move ahead. So you have to be alert also, attentive also, and at the same time, whatever pattern suits to you, that you should be following, which the pattern which allows you to move smoothly in the society, or you follow the norms. In one way, you have to, somewhere you have to follow that. I cannot say that I can work with my own idiosyncrasies and all that, and I can be very courageous, and I will not follow the other norms. Similarly, one should not also follow these religious authorities, including Krishnamurti. One should be, whatever he has said, one should go into deep and explore whether whatever he said, as whether I am not conforming to it, and I am also exploring the deeper issues involved in it. So that is what I think. Thank you. Harshad Parekh or Chidanandaji sir, if you want to make any comment on this, I would
Yeah, okay.
invite you.
You asked this question, what is the root of conformity? I think the root of conformity is fear and no clarity, especially when something is going wrong in society and you don't question it and you go along with it, conform it, then it means that you want an easy life. You don't want any disturbance. But when you see that something is not going right, and and then you have the courage to fight the society, not fight, I would say, but to stand on your own. As I think most of the people who have done very good work in society, they were not conforming to the society. They were stand. They took the stand against social morality, social values, and they were not. Uh, they did not care about the consequences of their stand against society. So only such people can make some impact on society, like Krishnamurti did not accept tradition and he was fearless in talking against whatever was happening, just like Kabir also was fearless in criticizing both Pandit and Mullahs. And there was a danger to his life, but he did not care because there is no fear, then only it is possible to do what you think is right and must have clarity that it's not out of pride that one takes a stand and follows that. Because the terrorists also, they are very clear that what they are doing, they are brainwashed and they have some clarity, brainwash. So not that way, but in a healthy way, that one is not damaging one's own body and mind in taking this stand of non-conformity. And so you will find many, many cases like the American Ralph, no, that is Thoreau, who lived in the forest for 2 years with simplicity. Just he used to make life very, very simple with bare necessities. He lived like that. And the whole town, they thought that he was crazy, but he did not care. And Mahatma Gandhi was very much impressed by this thorough American philosopher. So I think one needs to be very clear and wise and loving with good qualities, then one can stand alone. But without that, without having love and goodness, one cannot stand alone. It will not work. Thank you.
Anand Ramagoud. Anand sir, please unmute and come
Yes,
forward.
sir. So when I live in a society, sir, knowingly or unknowingly, I conform to the tradition, to the customs, the way I eat my food, the way I dress, and all that. Can I observe that is the question, sir? I confirm because it also it gives me gratification. It gives me pleasure. I confirm because it gives me a lot of security. So, I mean, now when I say I should not confirm, again, I've gone back into the opposites. Can I look at that as a question, sir? I need to ask myself, why do I confirm when I live in a society? I call myself an Indian, the way I dress, the way I eat. I mean, it's the way the Indians eat. I don't eat like the other Western people. Even when I talk about Taliban and others, I mean, I'll leave that outside. I mean, so it gives me a lot of pleasure or gratification. It also gives me authority. When I associate myself with my own people, I feel very strong. Right or wrong is a different issue. I call myself an Indian. Can I look at that as a question? Over, sir.
Dinesh Waghmare.
I
Dinesh
also think in the same way which Anand says and Harshad says. Basically, one has to follow the minimum norms of the society. So he can question, but he should not go in the opposite direction, as Anand said. He should not go to the opposite polarity. Similarly, what Harshad said, I think along with the fear, what he said, clarity. Ignorance is the main cause of conformity. If that ignorance suits him, he remains in conformity. If that creates some suffering or problem with him, any person, then he questions that conformity. That's what I think. Thank you.
Sakti sir, can you unmute and say? Sakti sir, would you please say something? Please unmute Sakti sir and then say. Perhaps not able to unmute. Some problem. Pradeep Verma, do you want to say something, sir? Pradeep Verma? Because you are raising the hand. Please unmute and then say. Please unmute first and then say.
First.
Then say.
Ramagoud ji raised certain interesting questions. Rather, he said that it gives me, conformity gives me authority, gives me some sort of security, gives me a lot of positivity. So the next question is, does it really make you actually secure? Does it actually make you an authority? So these are the questions about the questions raised by Ramagoud. Thank you.
Sir, can I answer that, sir?
Please do that.
Sir, I'm going to the opposites now. When I say it gives me security, immediately I'm going to the opposite of it. Can I observe that as a question, sir? See, from the time I've been born, I'm confirming. My parents tell me, my school tells me, my teachers tell me, my religion tells me, my tradition tells me. They all say that this is the way I should be, and I conform to it. Can I look at that as a question, sir? I'm putting a question. It gives me pleasure, yes. I mean, I obey my parents, I obey my teachers, I obey my religion, I obey my gurus. I mean, I conform to them. It is gratifying. It gives me pleasure. It gives me security. Isn't it so? Question mark. Isn't it so? Is a question.
So you are questioning your own answers.
Absolutely.
You are saying that these things have been to me. I have enjoyed all these things, which when I conform to my family, my friends around, society, and all that. So this is what you have felt. This is what is for you, and now you are questioning that. Questioning for questioning's sake has no meaning.
That is your interpretation, isn't it, sir?
What you have enjoyed is what you have told, that this gives this. Now, where is the question?
Sir,
if it is giving you a question, then that thing is not complete.
Sir, what is essential for each one of us? Because when I say I mean, we are getting stuck over for each one of us, it's very important for us to question, investigate. only then you can move forward. Without questioning, all the time I'm looking for answers. That is again part of my conditioning. Can I observe that? Can you observe that? The way you dress, the way you talk, I mean, all that you've been conditioned. Billions of dollars are being spent by the companies on advertising. How they influence us, we are not even aware. The way I talk, the way I dress, the way I eat, I'm not even aware of it. Can I look at that as a question, sir?
So you are asking a question to yourself whether you can really investigate in you. You are talking about these companies and that companies and all that, and what is happening, and vegans and non-vegans and this and that about the society in general. But have you investigated in you, and what answer comes out of it?
So when you say vegan, again, you have a wrong meaning of what vegan is.
Sir.
Vegan is not an activist. Vegan is a person who does not use animal products. He's not an activist. But generally, when you call a vegan, you think he's an
voice is not
activist.
clear. May I request Satyji to say something? Satyji wanted to. Please, let us listen to Satyji first.
Yeah, just one moment, sir, because you know I can only be on the audio. My voice is coming there.
Yes.
So we can hear you.
Yeah. I just wish to say about this conformity. One aspect of it, I just wanted to ask myself some questions about it. For example, when I heard about awareness, choiceless awareness, when we listened to Krishnamurti in Delhi and Mumbai long ago. So I saw that I cannot see what is happening in awareness because I cannot impose awareness on myself. But in another way, I say, let us see what happens in unawareness. When there is unawareness. So I found out that something very strange happens. When one is unaware, one is conforming to a set pattern, which one has borrowed from society or from ancestors or from anywhere. And when there are little, spaces of awareness, one can see that in that awareness, those impressions, those things that press us to behave in a certain way, they become less dominant. I don't say that they disappear. So this conformity is not only conforming to the society outside or conforming to some religion, but it's also from inside. So it's very strange that, and still, after so many years have passed, and I can still see that I'm unaware. Most of the time I'm unaware. But this one thing I just wanted to share with all friends here, that conformity to a set pattern is somewhere connected to inattention or unawareness. In that it consolidates. And my question to myself and all the friends is that even knowing it intellectually, that is conformity comes out of unawareness. For me, it has not been possible to be out of this area of inattention or zone of unawareness. I'm not very sad about it, but it's a question which I ask myself often, and I think Harshadji might throw some light, or some other friend. Thank you very much, sir.
May I request Chidanandaji, because he has to leave. Chidanandaji, would you please say something?
I have been listening carefully, and I do see that it is the lack of awareness, lack of attention, and that's what I had meant in my presentation, that we become mechanical. When we become mechanical, we are not aware of what we are doing. We are just in autopilot mode. Some people said that conformity gives to us security. Yes, not complete security. If I conform to ways of one group, when I am surrounded by people of that group, that community, that religion or whatever, I feel secure. But one fine day, for some work, I have landed in midst of people belonging to another group. I will feel terribly insecure. Once I remember there was a so-called spiritual camp, and all members were followers of a guru. And one member joined that camp, and she did not do anything else. In her room, in the room allotted to her, she kept a big picture of Satya Sai Baba. The camp was not of Satya Sai Baba. And, at breakfast, I noticed one lady very upset. I said, "Why are you so upset?" She said, "Next to my room, there is somebody who has put a big picture of Satya Sai Baba." So she felt so insecure that in this camp, somebody has come here who does not follow our guru. So this security is very false security when we conform. But as long as it goes, it is enjoyable when you are surrounded. If you think that your language is the best and you are surrounded by people who speak your language, you feel very secure. One day you end up in another environment where everybody speaks another language. The same psychology would make you feel so insecure and so lost, so fish out of water. Therefore, we must examine, we must question. Should I draw my security from the language I speak, from the color of my skin, from the gods I worship? Should my security be connected to one of these? Is a question we need to ask. Thank you.
So can I, sir?
Harshad Parik, sir. Parik, sir.
Yeah, okay.
I have a question, sir, to Swamiji. So when I say that it gives me security, can I see that it's an illusion, sir, which I've caught in? That is what it is.
Exactly.
Life does not exist without insecurity. Life means insecurity, sir. I'm being very, life means insecurity. The moment I'm seeking security, it's a huge illusion. Can I observe that is the question, sir? And all of us, every living person is looking for security. Over, sir.
That is the exploration that needs to be taken up. Whenever we feel secure, is it an illusion under the cover of which I am feeling secure today? You are right. I fully agree with you.
One small comment. When we say that conformity is related to unawareness, so this is actually awareness.
So the question is, word is not the thing. How do I understand
that? When we say that, when we are giving for this thing, that this is related to that, is awareness. In awareness, you know that it is related to that.
Okay. May I say something?
Please.
Yeah. Anandji is asking one question again and again. Can I observe that? So I would say yes, if the question is very, very genuine to you or to anybody, then the mind becomes very curious and silent and observes whatever is coming. Actually, I myself don't ask many questions, but something is always going on inside, and whether one and I can see that yes, something is going on, and that is all. Just seeing is enough to bring clarity. So our main problem is that we use many words, many ideas, many questions, but maybe we are not curious to watch within ourselves what is happening, because so many things happening every day, 24 hours. Are we really curious to look? And that I would consider that looking without asking question is a real meditation, I feel. The one has to be in that state to see what is coming within the mind. Even if a question is arising or a song is arising, can one be in touch with? That is what Krishnaji says, to be in touch with what that is like a meditation. In that, there is no separation between what is and what should be. So that is a real intelligence also, I would say. And that shows everything, what we are, and whether we are conforming or not conforming. So maybe that is the choiceless awareness, what Krishnaji says, is not just a theory, but one has to be in that state of observing without saying it is good or bad, like that. And in that, there is a clarity comes.
Arun Pratha. Arun Pratha wanted.
Arun Partha, sir. Arun Partha.
Arun Parth, sorry.
No
Arun
problem.
Parth.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. So actually, related to this topic of conformity, one thing which came into my mind is I feel there is we feel a lack of space as such. So I mean the word space as such, like if you see in the outside when we look at it, we see there's a lot of space, and there is always a longing for some kind of freedom or liberty, you know, from everyone, right from when we are born to at whatever age we are. This kind of freedom and liberty, that space as such, um, I mean, why don't we? I mean, many teachers have spoken about space as such. What are the like how important it is? Like, why don't we take that inside and look at it? I think that is a, because if you look at our own things inside us, there is a lot of repetition. There is lack of space inside our head itself. Because if you look at it, we think the same kind of thoughts come creep up. The same, there's a repetition of everything. So I feel that the space as such, you know, is something which we have to understand. Thank you.
Is there anyone other than Arunji? If there is nobody, then we will have to close it.
Sir, I want to say something.
Yes. You go ahead. Go ahead.
Sir, what I feel, we cannot put any negative label on conformity. One has to be aware, and at the same time should be in a position to see the faults in the conformity. If the conformity is circumspect, it can work, it is workable in the present situation also, in the present moment also, then it is okay. But if it is not, then one should have the insight, right insight, and that is what the intelligence is. One should be able to find out, explore whether this is what is the right thing in the present moment. That's what I feel. Yes, sir. Shakti, sir.
Shakti, please come forward. Shakti, please conclude. Shakti, please
Yes,
come
sir.
forward.
Yes, sir. You see, Pradeep Verma ji said that if one knows that in unawareness, the conformity is there, mechanicalness is there, then that itself is awareness. I just wanted to say that I don't consider those flashes as awareness, because it was just an analytical conclusion that you see this is happening in unawareness. And there is something else which happens in the small gaps of awareness. Because if it had been awareness, it would have been consolidated. It would have been stayed. I'm not saying it should stay, but those small understandings that look, there is this conformity, and when there is awareness, there is no conformity. But then there is no awareness. Awareness is a very rare thing when I look at my life. Thank you, sir.
So, Harshad Parikar, would you please conclude it now?
Yeah. Okay. I would like to comment on what Shakti ji said.
Yeah.
Sometimes I give this illustration of what I saw on the street of a city in America. We saw a small rat with a short tail, and it was trying to catch its own tail, and it was not able to do it. It was going round and round, and the rat was caught into that mechanical action. And there are people around, they were laughing, looking at the rat, and but the rat was not aware. And then after 2 minutes, somebody touched the rat, and the rat moved straight and escaped. So that kind of touching, which happens very rarely in our life, when we begin to be really aware of what is going on within us. And so it can happen by reading a book of Krishnamurti, or some experience in our life, or somebody, some problem, a very serious problem. So that touching is very rare. And once it happens, then our life begins to move in a very straight way without any confusion, conflict. And the important thing is to have that clarity, not once, but be it a part of our daily life. And then we can really see the beginning of a problem. We can see whether anger is coming or not, or we get hurt, or we compare. We can see all this very clearly. And that is why these teachings are about that awareness, effortless, moment by moment, effortless awareness of what is going on. So that is the real challenge. Thank you.
One small comment on what Arun Partha ji said. Very interestingly, he talked about space inside and space outside. If you see, there is no inside and outside. Those people who have space inside do enjoy the space outside also. Everybody is not interested in the space outside. If my brain or my mind is clogged with knowledge, there is hardly any chance, or my desire, or my agenda and ambitions, there is no space for anything else. I won't see even outside the space which is available to all of us. Thank you very much.
Should I end now? Harshad sir?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, we are ending it right now. So
Thank
thanks
you.
to everybody whomsoever has
Thank you.
not participated.
Thank you.
Thanks to
Thank you,
everyone.
sir. Thank you, sir.